stand for child care, raising the voices for what needs to work for families. Yay us! Stand. For the last 3 decades, Child Care Aware of America has been pushing for change in the child care field. We have made tremendous progress, and it would not have been possible without the support of all of you standing and fighting for quality, affordable, accessible child care. Our partners, our advocates, your voices are critical to educating policymakers on the challenges parents face in finding quality, affordable child care. As important as the studies and data are, it's the stories of those most connected to child care, the families, the providers of care, the educators, the teachers, those that literally hold our youngest children each and every day, that resonate and remain with policymakers. It's why we do what we do. For too long, childcare has been an issue below the radar. But now, childcare has become a national priority. There is still so much work to be done. Who is ready? Who is ready to storm Congress and make sure the halls ring with the need for quality, affordable childcare for everybody? The progress that has been made on childcare proves that your advocacy and voice matters. More needs to be done, and it falls on each and every one of us to tell Congress and the administration to maintain their commitment and invest in our nation's most valuable resource, our children. Not only do we want affordable quality childcare for some families, we want it for all families. So I need you to participate with me right now. We've been practicing. Here we go. I want you to yell so loud that the Senate, just feet away, and House on the other side of the Capitol can hear you. Now let's not be shy. Let's not be shy. We truly mean raise your voice. When I say childcare, just a moment. You say childcare now. When I say pre-K, you say pre-K now. When I say Head Start, you say Head Start now. Ready? Childcare!
Childcare now!
Pre-K!
Pre-K now!
Head Start!
Head Start now!
Paid leave!
Paid leave now!
After school care!
After school care now!
That was fabulous. Well done! Now we're going to have a great number of people come up to the mic and get ready for us for the work we need to do today. So, first we're going to hear from a tremendous advocate on behalf of children and families for a number of years, Mike Olnick. Dr. Olnick has been the president and CEO for Child Care Resource Center since 2003, and his program serves more than 50,000 children and families each month in a service area spanning 22,500 square miles in California. For more than 3 decades, Mike has served on numerous boards and committees. He's a past president of Child Care Aware of America. He cares deeply about the children and families in his community like all of you and in our country. Mike Olnick.
Okay, this wind is not good for my comb over. So Child Care Resource Center is one of the local child care resource and referral agencies that we have across the United States. We have 60 of them in California, and we're one of 450 across the United States. In California, every county has at least one, and in several high population counties, there's more than one. And each one maintains a unique set of programs depending on their community needs, but all provide free childcare referrals and all provide training for childcare providers and teachers and brain builders. Our CCRC, our CCR&R, serves the northern end of Los Angeles County and almost all of San Bernardino County, a service that, as you heard, is 22,500 square miles with a population base that is about the same as South Carolina. We provide a wide array of services helping parents at any income level find childcare. We counsel parents on what to look for and how to determine whether the childcare setting they are considering is a quality setting. We help low-income parents pay for their childcare so they can work or go to school. We provide mentoring and coaching for childcare providers so that they can improve their craft. We coach parents of infants and toddlers in their homes, and we provide education and support services for preschoolers. We are supporting more than 35,000 children, and we provide financial support for 17,000 parents. 17,000, 35,000, that's 50,000, right? So those parents, those 17,000 parents earned last year $290 million, which is an average wage of $17,000. Many of these parents are also attending school at the same time so they can better themselves. In LA, the child care cost for a parent with 2 children is as much as these parents would earn in a year. We only have the resources to serve 1 in 7 parents of the working poor. We have data that shows that those parents who receive the subsidy are much more likely to get a job, keep a job, and move up in their job than those who are on the waiting list. Child care can serve the dual purpose of children learning while their parents are earning. Child care improves the trajectory of a parent's life as well as that of their child's. Child care also supports a large worker population, most of whom earn wages that are comparable to the parents they serve. Child care is a nonpartisan issue, and I call upon Congress to invest in jobs and the social infrastructure and the future of our society by investing much more in child care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Okay, we need another cheer because I need to start moving a little bit here. Okay, so when I say childcare, you say now. Childcare. Childcare. All right, we're going to move on to our next speaker. And this person is a dear family advocate for Child Care Aware of America and on behalf of children and families, Allie Dodd. Allie and her husband Derek are here from Oklahoma. Thank you, Oklahoma. Allie's an incredible and active community member. She is a child care and safe sleep policy and family advocate, in addition to being a mom and a physical therapist. I had some time to spend with Allie yesterday, and she's amazingly articulate and passionate about all of these issues. She has successfully helped pass legislation that raised safety standards in childcare in Oklahoma in 2016 and hopes to raise federal standards so that all American infants are safe while their parents are at work. We are so pleased to have Allie share her story with us today. Allie!
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you all for coming. I was just thinking about my feet. My feet have carried me through the halls of my state capitol, and now they're carried me with smaller feet all the way to DC. Esme and I are so proud to be here. We're so thankful to see all of your faces. I wanted to take a moment to talk about Shepherd. Shepherd was my son. He was born January 14th of 2015. He came fast and furious into this world. 53 minutes of labor and I had him in my arms. He lifted his head up off of my chest 3 times to look at me. He was my big, strong, healthy boy. On his 6th day of daycare, I dropped him off with my daycare provider, with a baby carrier, a car seat, and my pack and play. Just a couple hours later, she had swaddled him in a Velcro swaddle, placed him in a car seat, unbuckled, placed that car seat in another room with then shut the door, and didn't check on him for 2 more hours. Shepherd slid down. He was unrestrained. He couldn't help himself, and he suffocated. I'm not the only one here that has a story like that. There's research that estimates 20% of 4,000 deaths every year here in the U.S. happen outside a parent's care. So if you do the math, that's 600 to 800 babies every year in the U.S. that die outside a parent's care. We can do something, and that's why we're here. That's why safe childcare is important. That's why paid family leave is important. We shouldn't be leaving our 6-week-old, our 4-week-old in childcare. They should still be with their families. We shouldn't be placing them in a group situation so soon. Our families deserve better. Our kids deserve better. And if we can either have safe childcare or we can have leave, I'm right there. So thank you so much for your voices. Make sure you use them today. That's the most powerful thing we can do, is use our voice and use our stories. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Allie, so much for sharing with us today. We are all going to use our voices for childcare. Okay, so now I am introducing Jessica. Is that right? Thank you, Jessica, for showing yourself. Jessica Church is the advocacy manager for childcare at the National Women's Law Center. There she manages a campaign to make highly quality childcare more accessible and affordable for all American families, while importantly, raising wages for the childcare workforce. Yes. Prior to joining National Women's Law Center, she served as the Women's Coalition Director for the Florida Democratic Coordinated Campaign, the political director of the South Carolina Democratic Party, and the deputy political director at Correct the Record. Her most embarrassing moment, I'm going to share this. Her most embarrassing moment in politics happened this past fall when she was campaigning for Hillary Clinton in Florida with former Texas Senator Wendy Davis and couldn't find her car. And have we ever been there? She couldn't find her car. She couldn't find her car in a series of parking garages. Not one car parking garage, a series of 12 parking garages on the campus of UCF. After 15 very uncomfortable minutes of searching, she located it, and Wendy Davis remarked that she had never been so happy to see her Mazda 3 in her life. So with that, Jessica.
Thank you. Okay, first, I want to get a photo of this amazing crowd. Awesome. Alrighty. Thank you, Lynette, and thank you, Allie, for telling that story. So, good morning to advocates and providers in the audience, parents, and a special hello to any little ones out there. I see a few. Thank you guys for being here. My name is Jessica. As Lynette said, I manage childcare advocacy at the National Women's Law Center. We work on childcare and early learning with a broad coalition of organizations, and Childcare Aware of America is one of our most steadfast partners. They have done so much to raise the profile of this issue, especially around affordability. Too many families either can't afford or struggle to afford quality childcare in this country, and increasingly, more and more people are aware of this problem. We know this to be true because for the first time in nearly 3 decades, childcare was a presidential election issue on both sides of the aisle. And when you have Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton talking about the same thing, you know that the tide has turned. That's serious. But now we've got to turn that talk into action, because here is the reality. Families live month to month, not year to year. And President Trump's tax plan fails to help more families pay their child care bills when they're due. Really, his child care plan is a tax break that mostly helps wealthy families. More American families need help every week or every month, not just once a year when they file their taxes. And children need healthy and safe learning environments to thrive. President Trump's plan fails to address childcare quality or health and safety standards. And finally, childcare providers do the most important work in the world, caring for our children, but most are paid extremely low wages and struggle themselves. President Trump's plan does nothing to raise their pay or offer them opportunities to gain additional skills or knowledge to improve children's learning environments. So we need to make sure today and every day Congress knows that instead of a plan based on tax deductions that mainly help the wealthy, we need to increase support for working families and the middle class. We can start by increasing funding for the bipartisan Child Care and Development Block Grant, also known as CCDBG. This is an amazing crowd that gets a cheer. To serve all the low and moderate income families who qualify for its help. Did you know that right now, only 1 out of every 6 eligible children receives assistance? You flip that around and 5 out of 6 who are eligible get nothing? We can do better. You all worked so hard on the CCDBG reauthorization in 2014, and you know that states cannot make it work without a substantial increase in funding, or even fewer families will be receiving the child care assistance that they need to work and support their children. So today, use your voice, tell your stories, and ultimately, let's be sure that every parent that needs it can afford high-quality childcare to give their children a safe, healthy, and nurturing start. Thank you, guys.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing with us, Jessica. Okay, so now I have another individual to introduce who's absolutely fabulous, and we're so pleased that she is joining us today, and that is Shaniqua Levin. She uses the Every Child Matters platform to create a bridge between community members and advocacy actions for kids. She's the founder of the Long Island chapter of Mocha Moms and a founding member of the South Huntington Mothers Center. She is certified in leadership throughout the Rockwood Leadership Institute, is currently enrolled in a leadership course at the University of Connecticut. She's an example of an all-around advocate for children.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this cloudy morning. So we're going to do a little bit of call and response again. Are you guys ready to get your voices loud and far-reaching so everyone can hear us? Yes. All right. So when I say make childcare, you're going to say affordable. Make childcare
affordable.
Make childcare
Affordable.
Make childcare
Affordable.
That's right. Let's tell them again. Make childcare
Affordable.
All right. When I say ensure quality care, you're going to say for all. When I say ensure quality care, you're going to say
For all.
ensure quality care.
For all.
Ensure quality care.
For all.
That's right. When I say support the child care, you're going to say workforce. Support the child care.
Workforce.
Support the child care.
Workforce.
I need louder. Support the child care.
Workforce.
That's right. Let's tell them we need to support the child care workforce. We need to create better standards. We need to have access. We need to have quality. We need to have all of that for who?
For children!
I didn't prep you. It's okay. It's okay. Let's talk about something. How do we make America great? That's what's wanted, right? We want to make America great. How do we do that? We invest in our earliest learners. Children's brains are developed 90% by age 5, but yet they are the least invested in age group. And we still treat childcare like it's babysitting. But we learned through so many studies, the brain is developed by age 5, 90% of the brain. Why are we not investing in this age group? Why are we not making sure that early care and learning is that? Not babysitting, early care and learning. There's so many milestones that a child must reach. There's so many things that happens in a young child's life. If I myself did not receive a child care subsidy, my son would not be going to one of the top colleges in the country, one of the top state colleges in the country he's in. I was a 19-year-old mom. Thought, oh, I could do this. This is nothing. All of a sudden I have this baby. I gotta pay for childcare, which costs way more than I can afford. Having this baby at 19 woke me up that this is not the thing I'm gonna be doing. I'm not gonna have children after children at a young age because it's challenging. I enrolled my child in a wonderful home-based child care center. And she was able to do so many things with him that I didn't even, maybe not would have thought of. He was writing at 2 years old. He was already potty trained. She recognized in him that he was bright. And then she helped him excel at that. And once again, my son is in one of the best state colleges because he had an early start. Because I realized childcare and early learning and quality care was something important. But if I did not have a child care subsidy, that would not have happened. Through the child care subsidy, I was able to get a good job, learn office skills that I did not get from my high school. I had to stop going to college because I chose to have a child at a young age. But I was able to turn my life around. And one of the things that helped me turn my life around was that child care subsidy. And nowadays, they're just taking that money away and taking that money away. You have to basically be poor in order to receive that child care subsidy. What happens to people that were like me, that did work, but just did not make enough money to pay this expensive thing that's almost the cost of a college? Who is going to help the person that wants to work, that wants to better their family, but just may not have had the right skills and resources to get themselves at a point where they can afford this big-ass childcare bill? So when I say make childcare, you say affordable. Make childcare
Affordable.
Make childcare
Affordable.
That's right. So I want you to tell out your phones right now, go on Twitter and live tweet that. I'm serious. You should all have your phones out right now. Go live. Let everyone know what we're saying. Because everyone needs to let their Congress members know that we need to make child care
Affordable.
We need to support the child care
Workers.
and ensure quality care.
For all.
That's right. How many are going to the Hill today to make visits? When you go there, I want you to ask them, when you go home, what can you tell people to do? Ask them that. And when they give you an answer, tweet that out right then and there. Let people know to call, to write letters, to write op-eds, to email. We need to flood their lines, flood their messages, flood their inboxes with making child care affordable, ensuring quality care for all, and supporting the child care workforce. They need to know that we mean business and we want this for our American people. Thank you.
Okay, she got us ready. Okay, so now we're going to turn this over to our chair of Child Care Aware of America, Steve Rohde. Steve is the Deputy Director for Resource and Referral Services for the Maryland Family Network, where he oversees statewide resource and referral network for Maryland. He's an amazing child care advocate. He really cares about children and families, and we're honored to have him as our board chair. Steve Rohde.
Good morning, everybody. I want you to look to your right and to your left, because the voices that are important today are your voices and the persons to your right and your left. You need to tell your story. Lynette mentioned what I've been able to do professionally. My biggest accomplishment and what I'm most proudest of is I have 2 grown daughters, very accomplished women. I have 3 granddaughters. The granddaughters are in the child care system, so child care is not just a professional interest, it's a personal interest as well. We've heard some really great stories this morning. Thank you, Allie, for your story. I have an Allie at home. I'm going to introduce another very accomplished woman, Deb Vandergast, who's known as Mrs. V to her daycare families, is a registered nurse and a preschool teacher with more than 30 years of experience working with children and individuals with disabilities. And I want you to think about this. She's a nurse and she's doing childcare. She's the owner and director of Tipton Adaptive Daycare, which is a special needs childcare center in Tipton, Iowa. She and her husband Randy have 6 adult children, 2 daughters in middle school and 4 grandchildren. I think she's indicative of many people who are in the field who have the interest of children at their heart. They have a passion for this. And when you think about the subsidy that the federal government provides to help families, the largest subsidizer of childcare is those who put up with poor wages and poor conditions in childcare programs. So we need to work on this not only for parents and families and children, but also for childcare providers. So Deb, can you come up, please?
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. Childcare and caring for children has been my lifelong passion. I actually started working with children with disabilities when I was only 11 years old as a volunteer at an Easter Seals camp. At 19, I was the youngest lead teacher at a Navy Children's Center. And then I moved to Iowa and I opened a family daycare home. Truly loved caring for children, but like most childcare providers, I couldn't earn a living wage at it. Then, when my marriage ended and I had to support 3 young children on my own, I was forced to leave childcare, so I became a nurse. As a nurse, fortunately, I was able to continue caring for children with disabilities. During this time, I remarried, and my husband and I had a beautiful baby girl together. And we needed to work, so we enrolled her in our community child care center. The staff was very nurturing and loving, but they weren't prepared adequately for emergencies. I came in at the end of the day one day, and I found my 14-month-old daughter sitting in the middle of the floor without any toys. And that struck me as kind of odd. So I asked the teacher, I said, "She been like this for long?" And she smiled and said, "Oh yes, she's been quiet all day." I pulled off my daughter's shirt and found her in severe respiratory distress. She wasn't playing because she couldn't. Scooped her up, took her to the emergency room 40 miles away. She was diagnosed with severe asthma, which was causing one of her lungs to slowly collapse. After a week in the hospital, she returned to daycare with multiple medications and treatments. We went through a cycle for the next few months of the scared and undertrained staff, not knowing how to identify asthma symptoms early or how to adequately intervene when they happened. With each attack, I had to rush frantically home and rush her to the hospital. She was in the emergency room at least once a month, and her specialist said, "You need to get her out of daycare." But I couldn't. I couldn't afford to quit work. So I started thinking about, how can I work from home so I can care for my baby? And I thought, I couldn't be the only parent struggling to find adequate care for a child with special needs. And I was right. So I opened special needs daycare in my home, where my daughter and her younger sister, who also have asthma, were healthy and thriving. But after nearly a decade of caring for 6 or more special needs children by myself, I was ready to move on. My kids were in school, and I'd finished a bachelor's degree in nursing, and I could go back to earning a real living again. So I announced my daycare families that I was closing the daycare, but that idea got crushed when a single parent raising her twin grandchildren with special needs stood in my doorway crying and begging me, "Please don't close your daycare. Nobody else will take my children with their challenging behaviors. I'll have to either quit my job or give up custody of the kids." I told my husband that night, I couldn't do it. I can't abandon these families. So he encouraged me to go and find a place to expand the daycare and open a center rather than closing it. So I was lucky. I found an abandoned commercial building in my community that was perfect, but also condemned. Took us 3 years, a lot of very hard work, and a massive amount of debt, but we opened a daycare center 2.5 years ago. We are currently licensed to care for up to 86 children, and I have a dozen wonderful staff. But I am here today because of those families, because most of those families are low-income workers. They require the help of the block grant to pay for care. And I'm here because of my staff. So, both are struggling to survive in a system that costs too much for the parents, yet does not pay enough for the workers. We can't improve the quality of care without addressing the reality that the parents simply cannot afford to pay more than they already are, and we're losing our child care workers as fast as we train them. We need to ensure that every working parent has access to high quality, affordable care. We also need to ensure that our child care workers are well trained and well compensated so that they will make child care a career and not a stopping point. For every $1 that Congress invests in child care, our economy gets $7 back. Child care is the best investment our nation can make. Rather than making budget cuts for short-term gain, we need to be investing in the long term for our families and for our kids and for our workers. Thank you.
All right, that was fantastic. How we doing? Are we warm? That was a little less excited. Okay, so next I want to introduce Patty Cole. Patty Cole oversees federal policy work in a range of areas affecting infants and toddlers at 0 to 3. She is in it for the babies. She knows deeply the issues we are fired up about today. Before 0 to 3, Patty served as staff to Senator Chris Dodd, chairman of the Senate Subcommittee on Children and Families, working on CCDBG. We are also joining them for Strolling Thunder next week. Woo! May 2nd, as we push issues forwards for baby and toddlers. So with that, Patty Cole.
Thanks so much, Lynette. I almost feel like I should be up here going, MTM. I can't go away. But we just want to thank Child Care Aware for bringing such a spotlight to what children and families need, and to all of you for coming out and taking the critical message to Congress that child care works. So throughout the past year, the drumbeat for working families and child care has been steady. It was heard on the campaign trail. It's even been heard in the halls of Congress. But our job here is to change the conversation and make sure that what's being discussed are these solutions that actual working families need. That we have to be sure that we have meaningful investments so that all families have options and not the hard choices that you've heard from some parents today and that many of you probably have experienced. So they need to have quality that their children need, and they need it at an affordable cost, and they need it in a manner that ensures that the proper compensation for child care providers and supports a system. You can't just throw money out through a tax code and expect the kind of quality system our kids and families need to spring up. So we know that new parents especially have two questions, and one of them is, where am I going to find childcare and how am I going to pay for it? And especially for parents of babies and toddlers, finding quality care at a cost that's less than college is a real challenge. So how many of you have babies and toddlers in your care, or have babies and toddlers, or were once a baby yourself, right? So we know, and at 0 to 3, you know, we are all about babies and we love all children, even teenagers, but we have a special soft spot for the babies. And we know from those scientists, many of whom probably marched last Saturday, that these babies' brains are making 1 million neural connections every second. So that's 3.6 billion every hour they're in your care. And helping mold those connections is an awesome responsibility and an enormous opportunity, and that is the potential of quality child care. So the other question parents ask is, can we take the time off that we need to spend and want to spend with our babies? And I know that some of you will be advocating for paid family leave and the Family Act, and we really appreciate you carrying that message as well. Because the bottom line is this: parents and caregivers are doing the work that literally lays the foundation for the future of our country, giving our future workers the best start in life and helping our current workforce do its job with peace of mind. So I'm so proud to be here with you today because we all have to work together to bring this message to Congress. So as Lynette mentioned, a week from today, babies will be rumbling into town for Strolling Thunder. And they're coming to tell Congress that when they think of national security and a strong economy and all those big people issues, they need to be thinking babies. They need to think childcare and time off together and building the human connections that make our brains grow in the right way. So we hope that all of you who are in the area and can bring babies will come and join us for our stroll around the Capitol at midday. And as an added incentive, and I can't really put it, my paper's going to blow away, but the first 100 babies will get this cute little hat that will actually fit on their heads. So after today, after you take your message to Congress, we hope that our babies are going to come in next week and seal the deal. That childcare is highly skilled work and vital to today's economy and to tomorrow's economy. So we're going to roll them in and by the end of the session, the members of Congress will see those little brains at work, and they'll know that child care is something that is deserving of respect and significant dollars. So in short, we hope that they will understand that child care works. So thanks again for coming and being here in this wonderful Washington weather and taking that message.
Aren't those hats adorable? I'm gonna get one of those, Patty. Okay. I'll wear that hat. So next, I am so looking forward to welcoming to the stage and so appreciate him coming out, Reverend Thomas Bowen from the Mayor's Office.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, my message is simple, and that is that child care works. And it's time to take that message into those who need to desperately hear it. As the young folks say, this is a time to stay woke. And in that vein, they need to be made child care aware. For those who are visiting Washington, D.C., allow me to welcome you to our nation's capital in these different times. But we are proud of the work that we're doing here in Washington, D.C. I greet you on behalf of our Mayor, Mayor Muriel Bowser, who stated at the Women's March to those of you who were fortunate to come that D.C. has a chick man. Her words. But we're proud of what we're doing here. We're proud of what the nation's capital is able to achieve, and we're just hoping that as you lend your attention to this effort, that you allow us to take care of our children. And there's one way that we can take care of the children in D.C., and that is by D.C. becoming the 51st state in our union. I'm Thomas Bowen, and I approve this message. But we are standing up for our D.C. values, and one of our D.C. values is making sure that we have adequate and quality child care here in the district. My mentor, Mayor Ray Edelman, when I was at the Children's Defense Fund, told me that the budget is a moral document. When you look at a budget, you'll see where people and a nation really stand. So towards that end, I'm just so happy that here in Washington, D.C., we have introduced in this year's budget an enhancement of $15 million to increase access to quality child care here in the district. You know the story, that too many people are struggling to enroll their children in high-quality child development facilities located near their residence or places of employment. Where we're seeking to place child care centers in D.C. buildings, we're hoping to recruit a new cadre of child care providers that will educate and be able to provide child care here in the District of Columbia. We cannot talk about a pathway to middle class and not assist our residents with their need for sufficient child care in this country and in our city. Well, allow me to step aside for a second because, as was stated, I happen to be a Baptist minister. And when I say that child care works, I'm standing on some years of precedence and tradition. Child care works. For I know of a woman who put her child in a basket. And that basket went down a river and wound up in someone else's home, and she followed that basket, and there she volunteered to be, well, not volunteer, but she was a child care provider for her son, and her son grew up to be someone called Moses. I know that child care works because I know of a young teenage woman who was pregnant before she went to her marriage bed, and after her son was born out in a manger, she snuck him to Egypt. And in Egypt, she made sure that she gave him all the education and help he would need for the next few years. And that person, in my tradition, grew up to become somebody you may have heard of called Jesus. Child care works. So we're here to stand today to tell people who occupy the halls behind us that we have to invest more in our children on the front side instead of waiting for the back side. Yeah. We are here to say that it will be a great day in America, and America will truly be great when mothers will not have to worry about where they're going to leave their children while they go off to work. We are here to say that child care works. Congress, do your job and work. We are here to say that our children matter. And so I leave you with this, that someone said, well, how long? How long must we continue to come to the Capitol? How long must we continue to march for justice until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream? And Sweet Honey in the Rock put it better. Those of us who love freedom cannot rest until it comes. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Reverend Bowen, for coming this morning and shouting out on child care. So we've got our next speaker coming up, Kristen Cruz. Kristen Cruz from Moms in Media. Kristen joins us from Los Angeles. Kristen's like, me? Come on, Kristen, you can do it. You got a sign, girl. Let's go. We're here for you. We're here for you. Kristen is a parent advocate, LA Morning Radio personality, mom blogger, speaker, movie producer, and record label executive, just to name a few. We are so excited to have the talented Kristen join us. Kristen!
All right, you guys. Surprise! It's like doing like live morning radio all over again. Okay, so first of all, I'm so honored to be here amongst you. I am so touched. I know I'm a professional speaker. They pay me to talk, believe it or not. But I think I'm probably going to cry right now because I've been so touched. I'm a mom first. Before anything else, before any of the things I've accomplished or done or achieved in my life. And I have been so touched by the parents that I've gotten to know here, the stories that I've heard, how we can all relate to each other no matter where we're from across America, no matter what our backgrounds are, no matter what our stories are. We all come from the same place. We love our kids. We are parents, and we just want the best for them. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to give that to them. There's no reason why we should have to settle. I've heard moms and dads talk wholeheartedly about the fact that they feel lucky that their husbands have to work 2 jobs and that way they can provide for their family that they hardly get to see because they're trading off night job, day job, trying to make ends meet, and they're not sure what kind of child care they can find for their kids. That's ridiculous. We deserve more. We don't deserve just to be okay with how things are going. We deserve to be happy and thriving and fulfilled and raising America's next generation with so much pride and happiness in our hearts. We should feel safe, moms, at work. We should feel like our kids are being well taken care of for us while we are in the workforce. We deserve that, absolutely. So we're going in there today with our stories to share. I'm a parent here. This is my first time here. I don't really know what I'm doing, but
Yes, you do. We know what we're doing.
we don't. I mean, I'm here with a story, and they need to hear that. I may not be able to rattle off statistics and numbers and things like that, but I can tell them from my heart, I'm a mom. I deserve this. My children deserve safe, quality, affordable healthcare. All kids do. All moms deserve to be able to go to work and feel safe inside, that our kids are being well taken care of, and we deserve to see them at night and kiss them before they go to bed at night and know the next morning we're going to wake up and be safe and happy together. That's it. That's all we're asking for. So thank you for letting me be here. I'm honored to represent moms in media. We're working hard on the West Coast for this, for all moms and all kids. So thanks for helping us get the word out. Child care works!
Well done.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Well done. All right. Okay. So now we have an opportunity for our Public Policy Committee Chair, Ann McCauley, to come up from Minnesota. That's you. That's you. Come on up, Ann.
I just don't want to follow her. Well, thank you, everybody. I have the honor of closing us out today. I also have the honor, as Lynette said, of serving as your public policy chair for the last 2.5 years, probably two and a half of the most exciting years to be working on this issue in my almost 30 years of working in advocacy. I do want to say specifically for our families and our new advocates, this is always one of my favorite things to watch people come to an event like this to learn a little bit about policy, to find their voice, to get that energy and to take it out to the hill. But it doesn't stop there, and I'm sure you've been hearing this the last couple of days. I want to encourage you to go back into your communities, to keep up this drumbeat. Once you find your voice, you'll never stop using it, and that's the beauty of it. I also want to talk a little bit about what I've seen that makes child care and child care advocates and child care providers so successful in their work. They are people that bring passion to this issue. They are people that have a long-term commitment. I've only been in this field 15 years, only 15 years, and when you compare that to the people that have been working in early childhood for 30, 40, even 50 years, I'm a youngster. They bring stories, they bring kind hearts, and they bring amazing ability to sustain and build relationships. Those are all very important things to have when you go and bring that into advocacy. But the other thing that it takes is persistence and resilience. Before I came to this field, I worked for about 15 years in American Cancer Society, particularly in tobacco control. That was 30 years ago, a field where you didn't see the kind of progress we've seen today, and I had the very same experience some of you have had. I got sent here as a field worker to a summit on what we could be doing through policy with tobacco control. I had never done anything in advocacy. I got out here and learned about what it can happen when you change policies and you change systems as opposed to helping people one-on-one, and it changed my life, quite frankly. There was a wonderful quote from a tobacco company I'm starting to laugh. A tobacco industry leader who was trying to describe what it was like to have tobacco control advocates kind of constantly and persistently coming forward and working away at this issue. And his quote, which I love and it seems fitting today, was that it was like being pecked to death by ducks. And I took that and embraced it as a positive thing. So I will just say one other thing. They probably don't know I'm going to do this, but I really want to have you join me in thanking our public policy staff for amazing work. The kind of commitment and curiosity and persistence and resilience to make sure our issue is out front, to make sure that we're represented at the tables, to build those relationships. Anybody who's worked in coalition understands how hard that can be in good times and in bad times to maintain those commitments, and they've done it beautifully. And to the rest of the staff as well, because taking on advocacy is not for the weak stomach. And we've had a wonderful leader in Lynette and our other senior staff and our staff who've stuck with this issue. So finally, I'm just going to encourage you again to take out what you've learned back into your communities and be like those ducks and never give up. Thank you.
Okay, are we ready? Ready! Because childcare, go out and spread the news.